Good morning, everybody. So happy to see you all this beautiful morning. So today is the last Dhamma sermon in this series of Dhamma talks in the Buddhist in Kuala Lumpur. So today we have a very interesting topic. I think you all heard the topic. What if I die today? So this is the topic. So we have been sharing a lot of Dhamma during this week, giving some Dhamma talks in interesting topics. So I think today we have come to a very important, very interesting topic that is related to all of us, connected to all of us. As a very important reality that we all are going to be sharing in our life, which is the death and dying. So what is this topic? What is this reality? How is it connected to us? What should be our practical attitude towards the death and dying? So this is what we are going to be talking about within this short time. And after this Dhamma talk, if you have any questions, we can spend some time on that. So please pay your mindful attention to this important Dhamma. When we think about the death and dying, this is a very powerful, very strong reality, a concept, and an experience to all of us. Therefore, in the Buddhist teachings, we can see there are lots of teachings about the reality of death and dying. So Buddha, in his quest for the truth, when he wanted to leave the palace at a young age as a prince, this was one of the purposes. This was one of the ideas that he had to find a way out of death and dying. So we know before we die, we go through a lot of other experiences, right? From the birth till we die, our life goes through a lot of experiences. Right from the moment of birth, we start aging. And that process even continues until we die. And meanwhile, we get sick, we get old, we have a lot of other negativities to go through. As an inevitable reality, conditions in our everyday life as human beings. So therefore, we can see, not only in Buddhism, for many other religions also, this reality of death and dying in our life has been the main source or main reason for these religions to come up. Because we know we all have this ultimate problem in our life, that we all have to die one day. We all have to say goodbye to all of these things. We have to say goodbye to everybody, to our dear ones, loved ones. So this is a big problem. This is the big problem we all have in front of us. So therefore, it cannot be easily neglected. We cannot simply forget about it and just live. So that is exactly what happened to the Prince Siddhartha. He happened to understand, he happened to think about, what is my life? What is the meaning of my life if I am going to die one day? Everything is going to end sooner or later. So therefore, what is the meaning of my life? What is the meaning of everything I do in my life? So this was the same purpose in many other religions also. If you think about how these religions started, as a very common problem, human beings could observe, human beings could understand that we all are in a constant struggle. If you think about your everyday life, what you do, how you spend your time during the day, there's a very interesting reality that we all are facing constantly, which is we are in a constant battle or in a constant struggle to survive or not to die, basically. Can you see that? We are in a constant struggle for the survival, not to die. That's why we do all these things. That's why we eat, drink. We have a family. You go to work to support your life. So everything is to protect your life. That is not to die. So we all are in a constant struggle. But if you can narrow it down, every single moment what you do is that you are breathing in and out. Why is that? And that is also not to die. Because you know when you stop breathing in, what happens? Every single cell in your physical body begins to die without oxygen. So to prevent that, what you do? You breathe in again. So you can see that you are in a constant battle, constant struggle not to die, to survive in this world. But we all know that struggle has an ultimate end. We all know that one day we all have to end this whole process at a certain point. In that battle, in that moment, we are not going to win. The reality of this life, the reality of this world, the universe is going to win, definitely. We all are going to be the losers. We all are going to lose in this battle. That we all are going to die. So we all are helpless in this reality. We have no way to escape this reality. No one can escape that reality. In a normal, superficial understanding, even a Buddha, an Arahant cannot escape that reality of dying, death and dying convention. So therefore, human beings wanted to have some hope, some help. So as they struggled for this survival, they understood that it is an inevitable reality. Within their capacity, within their potential, they cannot win that battle. We cannot do anything about it. So that's why the idea of God came to be. They thought that supernatural agent or power or an entity can help the human problem of death and dying. And that is the idea of being immortality, the immortal, the deathlessness. So this is what eventually, ultimately all religions are interested about. Even in Buddhism, even in Buddhist practice, this is the idea, how to escape the death and dying. Based on that point, the Dhamma teaches so many things about life. So therefore, when we think about the reality of death and dying, we can learn so many things about our life. So in the teachings of the Buddha, the death is explained in many different ways. In many discourses, many sutras, the Buddha explains the meditation of death or the contemplation on the death to be very helpful, to be very enlightening, to be very powerful energy for us to move forward through this spiritual practice. So therefore Buddha encourages us to think about the death and dying every day, every single moment if you can. Abhinna paccavekkhitappa. We are supposed to think about the death and dying every day, mindfully and intelligently and wisely. So there's a very big place in the Dhamma for the contemplation on this death and dying. So in the Dhamma we can see what is this death, how it happens, what is it. So we can see that we are living our life from the moment we are born to this world. We can see that, we feel that we exist, we live in this world, we move, we do things, we have feelings, sensations, we move around. So we have this idea, feeling of existence. And then as we age, this body can no longer continue its functioning, this process, as a result of aging. And then this body comes to an end. And as we can see, according to the teachings, we can understand even this mind cannot exist within this physical reality anymore. So then the consciousness, the mind has to leave this body. So then this body stops, or this body begins to decay or deteriorate. That process comes to a complete end. So that is the death. So this death is called the conventional death. The conventional death is the common death that we can see, that comes to everybody. That death also is very important because that conventional death is unpredictable. You can never say, you can never predict when and where and how you are going to die. You have no idea. It is unpredictable as a common reality. And we know that we die as we age. That is the conventional death. But we can see that death can happen at any moment, at any time, due to many reasons. We can get sick and die, and we can have an accident and die, and we can get caught up in natural disaster and die. So many things happen and we die. So the conventional death is having this reality. So according to the conventional death, we all have a sense that we are not going to die soon. This is how we feel. My death is sometime later. Oh, I will live for certain years and die. So this is an illusion. This is a misunderstanding. We can never think about our death and dying that way because it is that unpredictable. It's a misunderstanding. So somehow the conventional death is the life end experience, end of life experience. That is the conventional that we see every day. So that is what even Prince Siddhartha observed as a young prince. He could see that many people are dying, leaving everything behind, saying goodbye to everybody, coming to an end of this life. That is observable. We all have this experience. And there's another type of death. It is called constant death, the constant dying. And what is that? Even though we talk about this conventional death, we are dying every single moment. How is that possible? How do we understand that? So when we break down, when we analyze this body, we see this body is made out of cells, right? So every single cell has a life. So it's very interesting to see how we can look at this physical body even though we see this body as a single entity, single life, it is made out of millions of different lives as cells. So these cells are not existing for a long time. If you take these cells individually, they have a lifespan, a very short time, short period of time. These cells are being born and dying again and again. So then, what is our own existence then? As my body, as myself? There's no such thing. We are constantly dying. But when we think about that constant death, why don't we see this whole process disappears right away? There are two processes are taking place at the same time. As we are dying, new cells are being born again and again, repeated. So these new cells are replacing the dying cells. So therefore you don't see the complete disappearance right away. So it's a process. It's a continuing process. Birth and death is taking place constantly, every single moment, every single second, that way. So that is called the constant death. So when you break it down to very subtle particles, cellular levels, atomic levels, the energy levels, we can see that everything is constantly changing. Everything comes to be and fade away, they die, depending on the necessary conditions we call it, the causality, the causes and effects. These things come to be as a result of necessary conditions. So this constant death is very important to think about. Analyze our body and mind even. So then, if someone has a better understanding about this constant death, for that person, dear friends, the conventional death is nothing. How can you worry about the conventional death as you are dying even now? Even single moment you are dying, having no any permanent existence. That is the constant death. So we all are having that reality. Even now, in this very moment, it is taking place. That is the second type of death. And what is the third type? It is the ultimate death. And what is the ultimate death? The ultimate death is the final death. That means you go beyond this reality of death and die. So once you die completely, there's no rebirth for you. And then you have conquered the death and dying. And that is the death of an enlightened one, the Buddha, or any other enlightened one. And that is called the ultimate death. And that death is not about dying physically. That is the complete death of the dream of existence, we call. In that state, someone completely eradicates this total ignorance of existence, therefore destroys all cravings and attachments to this process, this life. And that is the ultimate death. It is not just the death of this physical body. It is the complete end of all ignorance and craving, and no more renewed existence for that person. And that is why it is called the ultimate death. Okay. So this is how the Buddha explains about this death and dying. So it is not only this conventional death and dying. So here, when we think about this reality, as we all are going to face this reality, we have to be very serious. We have to take this very seriously. We have to take into our consideration mindful, deep, rational consideration. We can see that many people don't like to talk about death and dying. Why? It is not pleasant. It is not a nice experience, right? It is not a good thing to talk about, because it is the experience that where we are going to lose everything. What you are going to lose exactly? You are going to lose everything that you accumulate in your life, as the wealth, your families, your loving children, your husband, wife, your friends and others, big mansions, cars, your bank accounts, everything. You're going to lose. And not only that, you're going to lose even your body. You're going to even lose yourself. Leaving nothing. You're going to lose everything. So this is therefore not a pleasant experience for a normal person to think about. That's why many people suddenly want to forget about it. They do not pay any attention to it. It is not any interesting topic even to talk about, think about. But in the Buddhist teachings, he gives a very special place for this contemplation as a meditation. Maranavasati. To mindfully, rationally, wisely think about the death and dying as the ultimate reality of this life. So this death and dying is not a common thing just to myself. And this is the other thing to understand. The death and dying is common to everybody and everything, not only as living beings. Every material reality also has this reality. Everything comes to an end, having no permanent existence. So this is a very common, universal reality that we are thinking about. So in that sense, we can see how this contemplation can be helpful to us, beneficial to us. Without a reason, Buddha would not recommend us to contemplate on this special reality of death and dying. So, my practical experience on death and dying actually, this contemplation, this is the most blissful, enjoyable, enlightening meditation for me. This is a contemplation that I think about, bring to my mindful consideration almost every day. That makes me so relaxed. that makes me so peaceful, that makes me so thoughtful, it makes me so responsible too. So therefore, I don't see any other powerful method of meditation that can motivate you towards your liberation, your emancipation, your nibbanic peace. Having no any other powerful techniques. This death and dying meditation can be very powerful, energizing, powerful force for you to move forward, to make your life very meaningful, to make your life a blessing to you, to make your life blessing to all other beings. It has a very broad perspective when you look at it. So, at this moment, I'm going to talk about what can happen to a person when you think about this death and dying as a reality. Especially for a person who knows the Dhamma, who has some concern about spirituality, who has a purpose in this life. What can happen to a person? What can happen to such a person when you think about this reality of death and dying? This is very interesting. So therefore, at this moment, I give you this important question to think about. You have to take this very seriously. You have to take it very seriously. Think about it for a moment. What exactly if you die today? I want you to think about very seriously, as if it is going to happen today. Maybe you can close your eyes and think about it seriously. What if it is the final day for me? What will come to your mind? What will come to your consideration? So, if you come to know that you are living only for today, so you are dying today, you have only few hours to live, what can happen to you? What kind of transformation can take place in yourself? This is a very interesting question. This can completely change yourself. This can completely transform yourself. If you come to know that this is your final day, your last day to live. So when you practice the Dhamma, when you have some understanding about the Buddha's teachings, especially when you cultivate this mindful attention, mindful observation of your life and the world, when you come to know this point, you are going to live on for this day. These positive transformations, changes can take place in yourself. Okay? The first thing is that when you come to know that you have only few hours to live, first thing that you don't want to waste this time. You don't want to waste this important, precious time because you know you have only few hours to live. Therefore, you try to get the best use of every single moment. You are going to get the best use of every single moment because you know the importance of the time, the urgency you feel. And this is very important. You become really conscious about the time. How you spend your time. Doing what? Engaging in what kind of responsibilities, what kind of activities, duties. Very short time. Yes.
You asked me about that. 3 hours, what do you do?
Right, we will talk about it, okay? So we have very short time, right? How would you take that time? Okay, so first thing is that you are going to understand about the preciousness about this remaining time, that you are not going to waste any single moment. You want to get the best use of every single moment. That type of transformation can happen to you. But it does not happen to you when you don't think about it. So you don't have any idea about how you spend your time, what you do, right? What happens to you? You have no any conscious awareness about how you spend your day and night. So when you become aware of death and dying, for a person who knows the Dhamma, the time becomes very valuable, very precious, that you have no time to waste. So this is very important transformation. And the other thing, when you come to know that you are living only for a few hours, you are dying today, you think about the priorities. Within this short time, you don't have time to waste on unnecessary things, unimportant things, right? So you select your goals precisely, accurately, you select your goals. What should be focusing on my life? What should be the ultimate purpose for these few hours? So you make it clear what you exactly want here. So for a dying person, within a few hours, what would be very important thing? The money, the bank accounts, can they help him or her? No. The family members, loved ones? No. The person is going to leave everyone. This society, this religion, or whatever they pay attention to in the superficial level, all these things are going to be left behind. So these things are not important to that person. So therefore, that person should focus on the inner peace and tranquility, how peacefully and mindfully that person maintains his awareness. This is very important. As it explains in the Dhamma, even within our practical experience, that we can see almost everybody dying unconsciously. Why is that? Many people die very disturbed. Many people are not dying peaceful and happy. Why? First reason that they didn't think about this death and dying before it came to them. They had no idea. They didn't expect that reality. Okay. And therefore, they really get disturbed when they happen to leave everything behind. To say goodbye to everybody is not a pleasant, comfortable thing. It becomes a challenge. Very frustrating experience. It's very hard emotional experience, and that can be the ultimate powerful emotional experience. We call it the death anxiety. This death and dying is not a pleasant, comfortable experience. And the other thing is that the anxiety of the unknown. When we die, we don't know what is going to happen. For many people, they have this question. They have no clue, they have no idea what is going to happen after death. So it becomes a very powerful, burning experience there. In one hand, this person is losing everything, and there's another anxiety in front of this person, the anxiety of unknown, the confusion. And the other thing is, most of the time, as people are dying, they go through a lot of pain in the physical body. It is not a pleasant experience. So, because of all these reasons, the death is not a pleasant experience for many people. So, when you think about the death and dying, in this experience we can see, even it is explained in the Dhamma, to be able to maintain a mindful, peaceful attention, mindful awareness as we are dying is a very important thing, because we know how we die is going to directly affect our rebirth process. If we are dying negatively, with a lot of negative emotions, memories, our rebirth is not going to be pleasant. So therefore, when we come to know that we are living only for a few hours, this is my last day, we set this ultimate goal of inner peace and tranquility to be the most important thing for my life. For a person who knows the Dhamma, as any Dhamma practice experience, this transformation can happen. And another beautiful thing can happen as a very special transformation. Okay, so as you are living only for a few hours, you are becoming a very sensitive person. In what ways? So you feel the taste of your food very uniquely. What you eat becomes very delicious for you. Because why? You know that this is my final meal, maybe this is the last time I'm going to eat. You don't know. So you feel the taste better than any other time. How many times you have eaten all these things, but you never felt this taste because you were not conscious about it. You were not totally present to your taste. But you are, as you are living only for a few hours in your life, you become really conscious about your sensory experiences. Especially you feel the taste. And not only that, you become a very sensitive person to everything that happens to you. So the death and dying experience makes you a very sensitive person. You strongly feel these sensations, feelings, emotions as very powerful experiences. Your senses become very powerful, very sensitive. It doesn't happen at any other time. Because of this ultimate experience, anxiety, you become conscious about what exactly happening here. Emotionally, you are experiencing it. So you become very sensitive. So in that understanding, in the Dhamma it is said that you can easily recall how you lived your life. Very fast you recall what you have been engaging most of the time in your life. That comes to your mind automatically. You easily feel that. So if you spend your time, your life negatively, that is what comes to your mind. But if you engage your life in positive things, good things, constantly, that is definitely going to come to your conscious awareness, to your mind. You become very sensitive very easily to these things. So that is going to affect your rebirth process. So you become very sensitive person to your sensory experiences. And not only that, so therefore you can enjoy what you are supposed to be enjoying, right? Because you are present. You are available to your experiences. You become a conscious person. And this is very unique thing to understand. Dear friends, remember that whenever you think about whenever you contemplate on death and dying consciously, only from that moment you are really going to be living. Do you get that? Until that, we are not really living our life because we are not conscious. We are not aware of what is happening to us. Therefore, this death and dying contemplation can be a very living experience for us. It makes you feel you are living, you are alive. You feel all these things around you, in yourself. So you become a very conscious person to your life experience. So you can simply enjoy many things that happen to you. And the real appreciation comes up. And this is another important, unique benefit of contemplating on death and dying. So when you know that you are living only for a few hours today, you begin to feel how precious, how important my relationships are. You begin to see the importance of your parents, if they are there. You begin to feel how precious your kids, your children, your friends, your relatives, whoever connected to your life. So you begin to feel them, not just to appreciate them, you begin to feel this connectedness. You become such conscious, you become such aware about these people, these relationships around you. But you didn't feel that before. You don't appreciate these connections before. But from the moment you begin to think about death and dying, these connectedness, these relationships can be very meaningful to you. You begin to feel how precious these individuals are. So you become very conscious about them. Okay. So these unique things can happen to you when you contemplate on death and dying. This is very unique. This is very important. So knowing that, you are not going to harbor any negative thoughts, any negativities. Whenever you come to know that you are living only for a few hours, are you going to take revenge from your enemy? Hit or kill someone that you really don't like? For a person who knows the Dhamma or try to be a spiritual person, that person is not going to waste this time in such negative actions, negative behaviors, right? But it can happen. It is possible for certain people, right? Because some people have these ideas. Before I die, I should take this revenge from this person. That's how, right? Right. That's how mostly happens in the movies, right? We can see. Before they die, they want to take the revenge from them, from other people, right? But spiritually, meaningfully, when we think about our own death and dying, we are not paying any attention to these things. They are not going to help us. So we don't spend our time on unnecessary things, unmeaningful things. So we simply avoid them. So this is very practical. This can be very beneficial to us in this way. So that mindful attention actually can be led to our deep realization of the Dhamma. And that is why some people even possibly attain enlightenment right at the dead moment. Because our mindful attention can be so powerful. If you are in the right direction, if you have practiced the Dhamma. So the death and dying can be so enlightening. It happened to many people, even at the Buddha's time. Some people, some monks even, attained enlightenment as they were dying. Because it is a powerful reality. Ultimate reality So if you train your mind with the help of the Dhamma, the teachings of the Buddha, our deep realization can take place in this very powerful, special experience. So therefore, we need to be very thoughtful. We need to be very mindful about this death and dying. That's why Buddha says we should think about this death and dying every day. Whenever possible, think about it. It never harms you. It never brings you any negativity. It never discourages you in this way. Can you think about it? If this possible positive transformation can happen to you, that life is going to be a very beautiful life. Because first of all, you begin to live your life. You begin to feel. You begin to experience everything consciously. Before, even though you were a living person, you were dead, having no these qualities, you are a dead person. So therefore, if you think about this death and dying, your life becomes very motivated. Your life can become very conscious, very active, very enjoyable even, because you become very conscious about everything. A deep appreciation, love and compassion are taking place in yourself. What else you need to enjoy your life? So you become very conscious person. So in the Buddha's time, we can see that there had been this important tradition in the Buddhist community among the Buddhist disciples. When someone dies, that person's friends gather around this person. And help this person recall what this person have done in his or her life. And even if this person, a monk or a nun or a spiritual person, even these friends would ask, have you attained any special realizations? They ask this question. It is mentioned in one particular sutta, Abhinam Panchavikittabha Sutra. It is said that Buddha advised the venerable monks and nuns, his devotees, his disciples, to think about it this way. To think about, at your last moment, as you are dying, if your friends come to you and ask you, have you attained to any special realizations? If they ask this important question, very sensitive, powerful, practical question, do not be silent. You should not live a life to be silent at this moment. That means you should be able to happily express about your attainments, any special qualities that you have cultivated in your life, or any special attainments, jhana or marga phalas, right? Special stages of enlightenment, or any special unique spiritual qualities. You should be able to happily express. Do not let that moment to be silent. Buddha says, keep this in your mind. See how powerful, how practical, how encouraging to us to think about that point. But it's very unfortunate today. We can see, as monks, most of the time we getting contact with dying people, but unfortunately we have no chance to talk to them about what is going to happen, to teach any Dhamma, because they are already being disturbed. They are crying, they are so frustrated, they are anxious. They are not ready to listen to any teachings or the Dhamma because they haven't trained their mind that way. So it's very unfortunate. I have a very interesting story. You know, when I came to Sri Lanka from Australia one time, a friend of mine took me to a person, a cancer patient, who was diagnosed with cancer and terminally ill, and she had only a few days to live. So my friend took me to see this person. So she was a school teacher. Okay. So my friend took me to this family. So as I entered the house, they came forward to me and they respected me and offered me with a seat. So I was talking to these family members, and somebody even brought me a cup of tea. Okay, so I enjoyed this cup of tea, and I was talking to these people. So I had a hard time. I had a hard time finding this cancer patient. So I asked my friend, "Can you show me this cancer patient?" Then he told me that, "Bhante, the person who offered you a cup of tea is the patient. She's going to die very soon." So she figured it out. I was struggling to find the patient. So she came up. So she came forward and spoke to me. She spoke to me, "Bhante, don't worry. I am the patient. I know I am not going to live much time. I have very limited time, few days only. Doctors have said that. But I am ready. I am very happy about my life. I am so grateful to my family, my friends. They were very helpful to me at this very critical time. I was a good person. I am a school teacher. I did my best to help my kids. I have not wasted my life. I am ready to go." Wow, that was so enlightening to me. My friend took me to talk to her, but she told me the Dhamma. I had nothing to say. That was so powerful. You know, some people take this experience very seriously and make their life very meaningful from that moment. So this is the lesson we have to learn. So when we come to our last moment, we should not be silent if somebody comes and asks us, what is the main thing? What is the special attainment you have attained in your life? And there can be no one else around you. Who knows, right? When and how you're going to die, you never know. So, you can never think about other people. But most important thing is that before anyone else, who is asking that question from you? Yourself. Yourself is going to ask you this important question. What have you done in your life? How you spent your life? What you really enjoyed? What was your purpose of your life? These important questions are going to come to your own mind. So, that moment cannot simply avoid. You cannot avoid that moment. So, you should be able to happily answer that question. You should be able to have something. To think about happily. To enjoy your life. So this is very important. So when you think about death and dying, you take this responsibility very seriously. You take this very personally. We know in the Dhamma teachings, It's a wrong idea, bad idea to take things personally, right? It's personalization. But we should live properly before we become enlightened. So therefore, to take this responsibility is a very important thing. Very important thing. To seriously take our responsibility. Whenever you think about that you are not going to live until tomorrow, if today is your final day, you become a very responsible person. You become a very responsible person to yourself and so to many things around you, as I explained earlier. It is very different. I have this very interesting story about the carpenter. Have you heard this story about the carpenter? There was a carpenter. He was very smart. He had a lot of experience in building houses. So he worked for this construction company for many years, and he was very well reputed builder. So he was very friendly to all the workers. They were very good friends to him. So he wanted to retire. He wanted to get retired. He wanted to get some rest now. Okay. So then he informed the manager of this building company that he wanted to get retired. But they insisted to stay for a while, some time, because he was helping the company a lot. So they insisted to stay for some time, but he really wanted to get retired. But because of this request, he took the final project. Okay, the manager gave him the final project to build a house. So then, this person took the responsibility. He got this job, but his main purpose or the goal was to get retired as soon as possible. So therefore, he didn't pay enough attention. So he built this house within a very short time. Okay, and informed the manager, okay, done, I can retire now. Okay, so then they organized a party, a farewell party for this friend. And in the end of this party, what happened? The manager came and on behalf of all his friends, gave him a big present, saying goodbye. What was the present? The keys for this new house he built. But what happened to this person? He couldn't believe. He got really disturbed. He almost got a heart attack. Why? He knew how he built this house. Because he wanted to get retired as soon as possible. Therefore, how he built this house? He didn't take enough time to build this house. He was very careless. He was very careless. And he didn't even use the best material to build this house. He didn't use the proper material to build this house. He was very careless. Within a very short period of time, he finished the project and gave the house to the company. He didn't know. He didn't know that he is going to be the owner of this house. Can you imagine? If he knew that this house was going to belong to him, how he would have built this house? Can you imagine? What kind of differences you can see in this story? First thing, he would take as much time as possible to build this house because it's going to be his house. He would take as much time as possible. He's not going to rush through it. Right? And the other thing is that he's going to use the best materials. He's going to use the best material to build this house. And he is not going to do it carelessly. He pays full attention. He becomes a very careful person in building this house. But it happened the other way. Anyhow, it came back to him. He got this house as the present he could not refuse, because it was the farewell gift for him. So this is a very interesting story. You know, if you do not take responsibility, this is what exactly can happen to your life too. Your life just like this house. Most of the time people build this house of life very carelessly, taking no enough time to do things, to understand things, to make things clear, to set proper goals. They don't take enough time. And they become very careless. And they don't care about who they are associating, how they spend their time. So they become very careless. So life is very meaningless. Sometimes people abuse them, engaging in many harmful, violent actions, having no idea about this ownership, that they are going to be the owners of these results, consequences eventually, right? This is what we learn in the Dhamma. Whatever you do, whatever your actions you perform, physical, verbal or mental, you are going to be the owner of these consequences sooner or later. So when you have this sense of belonging, this ownership, you are not going to be a careless person. You become very conscious. You become very careful person. From that moment, you become very careful about all your actions. Overall, you become a responsible person for your whole life. Nobody else can be responsible. Nobody can take that responsibility for you. We are responsible for our life. To our body and mind, what happens to them? I should take that responsibility and not that alone. We have to be responsible for everybody around us. Our family members, our friends and others. We have responsibility. We cannot simply neglect them. We have to have this sense of responsibility. You can easily understand that point. When a child is born, how responsible these parents are. Every single moment they are watching this baby, right? Without missing any second, any moment, they are watching this baby to protect that baby. That's how they take this responsibility very seriously. For how long? 1 day, 2 days, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year? No. Parents' attention, responsibility for their entire life. That is how that connection, responsibility. That's how even we all were raised in this life, right? Otherwise, we would have been in a different place. If we did not have that protection, if our parents did not take that responsibility. So we should feel the same responsibility to own our relationships. That makes our life very harmonious. Our relationships, can you imagine? What type of problems, conflicts in families, in marriages, in society people are having? Because they don't take this responsibility. How my behavior affects the other person? So we have to take that very seriously. And the other important thing I consider, that we have to be responsible for where we are. We are responsible for the place where we live. This is a very unique thing. I really appreciate that. You know? So this is very unique. What does it mean? Suppose you are in this spiritual place now. You are using it. You are getting the benefit of this place. So we should all feel that connectedness, our responsibility for this place. to help this place run, to keep this place very clean and very beautiful. It is our responsibility. We all are bound to perform that responsibility, that duty. We are responsible for that. Maybe at home, your workplace, you have a responsibility for that person. So we should take that very seriously. And also, finally, we all are responsible for our spiritual progress, our spirituality. We all should take this huge responsibility. Without taking that responsibility, we cannot practice the Dhamma. We have to have this ownership. This is my practice. This is my Dhamma practice. This is my meditation session. And this is how I am going to control it. This is how I am going to conduct it. So when you take that very seriously, it's going to work for you. The best example, the Buddha himself. If you can remember, after spending so many years in search for the truth, we know how Buddha came to the Bodhi tree and sat down with a firm determination. What is that determination? How he thought, let my skin, let my flesh, my blood, vein, dry out. I will not stand from this place without attaining enlightenment. Can you simply imagine what type of responsibility he took for his enlightenment? He took it very seriously. He took that very seriously. Therefore, we all should feel that responsibility for our enlightenment, our purification of the mind, our own salvation. Whatever the attainment we want to have in our life, we should take that responsibility very seriously. So when you come to know that you are living only few with others, this is your last day. You have no time to waste. That is the answer to your question. You should set your goal, give them the priority, and work your best towards your goal. And then you will be not wasting your time, and you will get the best use of your remaining time. So this is how the reality of death and dying, when you become conscious about it, when you think about it every day mindfully, without emotions, that contemplation can really transform your life. To make you take your responsibility seriously, to live a very happy life, to be very active, to live a very meaningful life. So therefore, according to the Buddha's teachings, we should always think about this death and dying as a very good friend to us, to make ourselves enlightened. Okay, so that is all I wanted to share with you today. So I hope you all learned something new, beneficial to you, and I hope you all realize the Dhamma and give the best use of your valuable, precious time as a human being, and to be able to live a blessed life, to be a blessing to yourself and a blessing to all living beings. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
We thank Bhante for delivering an excellent talk. Any questions, brothers and sisters?
I have one question.
Do you have any questions?
One question, okay.
Yeah.
Please come forward, brother. Please come forward.
My thinking is not very long, it's a short one.
life as a local, or living, not only with and other people. So when I come here, there are no more here, no more here. But why my hair turned white? I don't know. So my life, my body is not permanent. So the impermanence of the life of our body, of our thought. So that's a big question. And most valuable answer to this question that we must be sensitive and we must to spend our time wisely and to involve in learning Dharma and to get practice and live.
Yes, that is a very important point actually. As we contemplate on this death and dying as a meditation especially, as we become very conscious about this point, you are going to see, you are going to experience that reality in so many different things. What it means is that there's only one way to contemplate on this. It's even in this nature, you begin to see that. Even in your body, in your hair, everything, you become aware of this reality. You become easily receptive. You become very sensitive to this decaying, dying reality. So they become very enlightening, as you said. So there's only one way to contemplate on that. There can be so many different ways that you feel. You begin to realize. You begin to penetrate through many different experiences according to that reality. That's very interesting. Anything else? Yes.
I have one question. We have been talking about death and contemplation on death.
Yes.
So that's prior to death. Now we've always heard about people who have died or passed away, and they have this thing called the out-of-body experience, where they seem to be like in a certain room and they see themselves, and they see light and all that kind of. How do you explain this in Buddhist terms?
So that is out-of-body experience. There are different stories, experiences many people, even medical doctors have recorded. It's very interesting. So in Buddhism, in the Buddhist teachings, there's no any direct explanations on that, but there are teachings about out-of-body experiences. Even the Buddha, some other enlightened monks and nuns, they had experiences like that. Simply, they can come out of this body and observe themselves or the environment. So it is a special, subtle level or experience, or even it can be an ability of our mind, consciousness, that out-of-body experience. So according to these records, sometimes they have mentioned that after seeing themselves, they have again come back to their body. So that connection is still maintained. So it's a very unique experience,
So I'm a bit confused. I'm a bit confused because in Buddhism we believe that as a person passes away, it's almost the rebirth is almost instant, right? And you are reborn in another plane of existence, or you are reborn as a human being, or whatever it is. But in this instance, you are in limbo. You are here, you are there, and you're coming back again, and so it's a bit confusing.
In that experience, we can see that the connection is still there. That person consciously, not completely departed this body. Still the connection is there. As we know, as the Dhamma explains, you are not completely dead until your living force, what we call the Janaka Kamma, the energy you brought as you came to this world to live, which determines your lifespan. Until it ends, you are not completely dead. Even in that out-of-body experience, that person is not completely gone. So that's why they can come back. There's emotional attachment to this body. That's why they again come back to the physical condition. So that's how we can look at it.
Even after clinically that, after clinically doing that,
Yeah, because it's very dark area, right? You cannot see how and what happens there in that experience. So it's very complicated. So we cannot make any assumptions, it's very complicated. Yes. Anything else?
For someone who is not a Buddhist,
Yeah.
we use the death contemplation to make him feel a sense of urgency and feel but some people, they are not shy to commit bad things. They say, this world is like that. So,
Right.
how can we bring them more awareness of their own actions, responsibility?
Right. That is exactly what I explained in the talk, right? When you become aware of your death and dying, that you are not here forever, you become very careful about what you do, your actions. You become very thoughtful. That way you always avoid the bad, harmful, violent actions, and you always want to do the good thing. That's how the harmony brings in the individual level, the families and the society, as a protection. It protects ourselves from the negativities, harmful things. So that way it can be great blessing to all. Okay? Yes.
based on your experiences, have you heard of cases where people who have died and then they come back to life again? I've heard, but I don't quite believe it. But we've heard of few cases where people, even this Malaysia, I've heard people that actually that person is dead, but somehow or other came back alive. I've come across cases like this.
Right. Do you know what I like? After how long? Do you know? Do you know how? After how long?
I heard it's just whether it's a rumor or it's a truth. I've heard a few cases like that. People, I never say that it's true. I never question it.
Right.
Instead what people say, I just hear and it makes me think, possible.
What we can say is possible, right? That's why it happens. Right? It's possible. As I said earlier, we have very limited knowledge.
Then
Understanding.
after experience that moment of death, he or she must experience.
Maybe, right? In a certain level, as this consciousness can get into different levels of existence, maybe, they can dwell in certain place and come back. There are some cases, some experiences like that.
I remember I had a bypass about 10 years ago. Bypass. And after the bypass, it was over from the ICU.
Okay.
I'm conscious. I'm a super already. I'm conscious. I'm sleeping. But some other, I didn't know what time because I don't wear a watch. So the time of the night, I heard nurses washing their hands and so on. But I heard a funeral parlor, where they, Chinese tradition, where they eating gam and saying, those stuff. It does not like hallucinations. And I also had another experience whereby a big Mercedes lorry, timber lorry, approaching me and going right in front of my face.
Right.
I'm not frightened at all, but that kind of experience. But friends told me that those are hallucinations. Has it got something to do with dying or death?
Right. The thing is that even though you are not even though you are not consciously aware of the sensory experiences, okay, even though with closed eyes, our mind has the ability to see things. That's why in that level, in that state, people can see things, feel things, hear things. You know, so as you said, they can be hallucinations too. You know, but consciously in our mental experience, without having the senses open, still we can feel them. Exactly what happens in the dream level, right? When we are dreaming, our senses are not actively functioning, but all these things are mental experiences. So same thing. So in that experience, it's very subtle and complicated, complex experiences.
Those are very unpleasant experiences.
Unpleasant? But you said you didn't get afraid about them, right? You were not worried about it, but you were conscious. You became conscious, you knew, you feel them.
It's not something very positive.
I know, maybe not. Maybe not. Yeah, it's possible.
This thought of dying of that patient that you're talking about,
Yeah.
is it something that will train us in the Dharma, or will train us in our consciousness?
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Do the right thing during the last thought before that. Is it that? Is the final rule that?
Oh, okay, that's a good question actually. So as we talk about this death and dying and the Dhamma, and as we talk about the rebirth and all these things, we should never understand that these teachings are just to die peacefully. That's wrong. Right? This whole effort, the teachings of the Buddha is not just to die peacefully. Right? That is not the purpose of this practice, but it is very important if you are not enlightened yet. Right? Because we know the teachings about this existence, how it takes place, the connection between our last thought process and the rebirth. That is essential to know, understand, keep in mind. But the Dhamma practice is we should remember, that is to be awakened before we die. To attain enlightenment, to understand, to realize the truth, the Four Noble Truths, the reality before we die. We should never wait until we die to attain that level. It's a great misunderstanding, you know. Yes, Dhamma is for a living person, not for a dead person, or a dying person. But the death experience can be very important for a person who practices the Dhamma deeply. It can work for that type of person. Okay?
This one comes to the next question I want to ask. A person who is intellectually, he knows about the Dhamma, but he never practices it. At the point of death, the last thought, he starts thinking about it, what he has learned from the Dhamma, but he has not practiced it. So will he go to a good track, or will he just remain there?
Yeah, that's a very simple question, right? We know the difference between knowing and practicing the Dhamma. It's two different stories, right? Yeah, so that's the thing, as I explained earlier, as we die, just the knowledge is not going to help us there to reduce that existential anxiety or the pressure, the fear, worries, depression there. You know, real practice of mindfulness, patience, and all this impermanence, this Dhamma reality, only that knowledge, realization is going to help us reduce our tension and anxiety. You know, otherwise, if we have not trained our mind, all these powerful thoughts, emotions can come and disturb us. You know, they are very powerful. Just the superficial knowledge cannot control them. They are very powerful. That's why before we come to that experience, we should have thought about it. That's why many people really get disturbed there, because they have not trained their mind to accept that reality or to face that peacefully. So that is therefore to train our mind to accept that truth, the reality, before we get to that point. Because it is not the moment to practice it. You will be very disappointed if you wait to learn about it when you get to that point. That's why you should train your mind. So that is our human ability. We can think about something before it comes to us, right? That's how we avoid the fear and many negativities in our life. So we have that potential to think and avoid the fear and anxieties before they come to us. So for many people, they wait until that moment to face it. So they really get disturbed. So it's not going to be a peaceful day for them.
I think that means to say, one has to do it himself or herself.
Yes.
Okay. Somebody else's cannot do it for them.
No. They cannot help at that moment. They can show the way, give instructions, but the real doing part is up to oneself.
What I mean this way, somebody do it for them is that before they die, get some of these people to come and keep them chanting, day and night, Dharma.
Right.
Is that sort of thing help?
They can be helpful, but not that much, you know, because we can chant, but who knows what is the real exact condition of that person's mind, right?
But there are a lot of people who believe in that kind of thing.
Yeah, so that's what we have to do if they have not practiced the Dhamma enough.
Because they believe in the kind of chanting that was
Right.
They change the blood, get a bath for them.
That is a very superficial level of this practice.
In that similar way, you can't help the person.
No, we cannot really help that person very meaningfully. No. Practice the Dhamma when you live. Before you die is the most important thing. No, only thing can help you. Okay? Alright.